Hello, everybody. My name is Andrew Levin. I'm with Classic Touch Music, and I'm here to talk about choosing music and musicians for your ceremony. There are 4 topics I was going to cover. Choosing the right ensemble, choosing the right music, choosing the right musicians, and then other concerns you may have. As far as choosing the right ensemble, the one thing that you want to keep in mind is, what does my gut tell me? Do I want organ? Do I want a string quartet? Do I want trumpet? And go with it. You can probably find musicians all around who'd be happy to take care of your desires, so you should always go what you want first. Another concern would be the venue that you've chosen. If you're in an outdoor setting, then perhaps a harp might not be the best choice because the sound of the harp doesn't carry very well. But if you had a few string players or a trumpet player, something like that, then that would help you out. If you're going to play outdoors, you should have some kind of tent to protect the musicians' instruments. You can also be set up on a porch. Wherever you have hard surfaces below you or behind you or above you, that'll help project the sound out, and that'll help you. Even having a tent above will help the sound an awful lot. If you're out in the open grass, then you might not hear the music as well. So that's always a good thing to keep in mind. And then also, your church might have special requirements as well. Some churches say we got to approve the musicians, or some churches will say we can only do religious music. So if you're in a church, when you're in a church, that's who you want to talk to, is to find out about exactly what requirements they have if they will not allow secular music or only religious music. As far as choosing the right musicians, I'm a professional musician, so of course I'm going to recommend professional musicians. If you hired, all the professional musicians that are here were once string players or other musicians who were once students. And students need to have the practice doing this kind of thing, as I did as well. And there are some very talented students at universities and even high schools, and they will play very well. The difference, I think, that you'll get between having a professional player and a student player is that the professionals have experience on what to do when something happens. And invariably in a wedding, something happens. There are too many people walking down the aisle, they sit in the wrong place, someone's late, and all these things can be made better by the musicians who know how to handle it. When they see, oh, we got to play longer, oh, we got to switch to the next piece. So the musicians will give you that experience. They will cost a little bit more, obviously, because they have the experience that they do, but I think that that'll carry and count for an awful lot when you're actually having the service. In choosing musicians, you want to choose based on recommendation. If you have friends who have had musicians before, go ahead and ask them who they had. You can also go online, and nowadays many people have recordings where you can listen to them and trust your ear. And also keep in mind that you want to choose someone who will provide a good service, not just someone who's going to say, okay, here it is, here's your music, and then they'll talk to you the day of the ceremony and not in between. Talk to people who you get a good feeling about, who will work with you, who you can ask questions about music and they'll get back to you. And they'll keep a dialogue going rather than just the one time or 2 times. As far as choosing the right music, again, go with your gut. I've played everything from classical music to Enya and probably everything in between. If you have something that you really want, Coldplay, we've done that at weddings. A lot of this music is available for other ensembles, like if you had a violin and piano, or if you had a string quartet, a lot of the music is available for that group. But if not, we can try to find things. There are things that are published or things that are made by other musicians that you can gather. So if you have a special request, by all means, go for it. A lot of musicians can also work with singers. And if you had a song that you wanted to have sung, you can work with the musicians as well. Very often in a case like that, the musicians will show up a little bit early that day and work with the singer, run through it once or twice. As long as you have really qualified musicians, then they can just do it very quickly. You don't need to have a lot of extra rehearsal time. In terms of other details that you might want to consider is whether you need the musicians at the dress rehearsal. And I know that there's this desire to have that. You want to have them there because you want it to be exactly like it's going to be at the ceremony, at the rehearsal. But actually that's not always necessary, because when you if you're thinking that, oh, I need to be there so I can hear the music and have the musicians there and we'll time our walk down the aisle to the musicians, it actually works the other way around, where what you want to do is let the musicians time themselves to the people walking down the aisle. Because when the event actually happens, people are nervous. They may walk more quickly or more slowly. You may have another person or two or fewer, and the numbers might change, so you don't know how to time it out. That should not even be your concern. You should just walk down the aisle. And if you have quality musicians, they'll be able to time it so that, oh, there's the last person, okay, let's play a little more music, and then it's over. So you let the musicians handle that. I can't tell you how many weddings I've played, but in the last 35 so years that I've played weddings, I've probably played the rehearsals 7 or 8 times. And that's when it's very complex. It's outdoors and they're coming around buildings, or you have the little kids and the doves or whatever it might be. If it gets more complex, then you can do that, and you would contract it usually separately, but most musicians that I work with don't necessarily need to. Now what you would do is work with the musician ahead of time. You talk on the phone a lot. You'd say, this is what the ceremony is going to be, this is what our expectation is. And then on the day of the ceremony, the musicians will get there a little bit early before setting up and talk to the wedding director and say, this, what is changed, and they'll show the cue sheet that we had. They say, what's changed? Oh no, it's all the same. You'll work out where the wedding director will stand, and you'll say, what are the cues? So, this or how many more? You work out all those details. That only takes a few moments, and you don't need to have someone be there at the dress rehearsal. If you really want them there, then by all means ask for it. And if they won't do it, then you might want to find someone else. But usually people will be agreeable. As far as a contract, what many musicians do is that they ask to have some kind of deposit, and then would like to have the balance paid sometime before the ceremony. The musicians always show up. Whatever images you have of musicians being irresponsible, when you talk about this kind of music, these are very responsible people who will always be there. If you have any questions at any point, I'd be happy to talk with you some more about it. We're in the booth across from the white tent back there. It's called Classic Touch, and we have a string group playing today up until the fashion show. So we're happy to talk to you some more about that if you have any questions. Or I'll be happy to talk with you a little bit afterwards right here as well. So thank you very much, and we hope to see you sometime today.